Welcome to the U World Order Showcase Program, the platform dedicated to highlighting visionary entrepreneurs and coaches who are shaping the U World economy. Each week, we're celebrating the power of the individual and coming together to uplift and empower one another to reach new heights of growth and prosperity as we showcase a coach, company, or entrepreneur stepping out to be the change they want to see in the world. With our collective efforts, we're creating a world where every person has the tools to realize their full potential and thrive like never before. Join us today as we chat with this week's guest to learn how they got started, what they're doing, and how they're making a difference in shaping the U World Order.
Hi, and welcome to the U World Order Showcase program. Today, we're speaking with Melissa Deely. She's an integrative mind-body health practitioner, also trained in NLP, timeline therapy, and a hypnotherapy teacher. She's dedicated to helping her clients discover the root cause of their health and truly heal while detoxing their physical, mental, and emotional bodies. Melissa's business is 100% virtual, and she works with the entire English-speaking world. So welcome, Melissa. So glad to have you on our show today.
Thank you so much for having me, Jill. I'm excited to be here.
This is going to be fun. So tell us a little bit about who you are, how'd you get started, all the stuff.
All the stuff. Well, up until 8 years ago, I was in the corporate world, doing my thing, loved my career. And then one day, big fish bought little fish. And after 24 years of service, I was literally given an hour to clear out my desk and no word of thanks. They didn't need me anymore. And in that moment, I knew three things. I was never working for someone else again. Whatever I did next had to be more of service to the planet and humanity. And then I had no idea what that was going to be. But I was open to being guided. And guided I was into health and wellness because that had never been on my radar before. However, soon after being let go, I was introduced to a company that specialized in brain health supplementation. And I thought that was really interesting because I knew enough to know that I used my brain 24/7 and that there was near epidemic levels of Alzheimer's and dementia. And yet I had a grandmother who was over here, 99 years old, living by herself, caring for herself, fully cognitively functioning. So I knew I had good genes, but something made me ask, is that enough? And I started comparing her life to my life. And she was born in little old Christchurch, New Zealand, in the bottom corner of the world, way back before all the introduction of all the chemicals that we have in our world today, eating their own food, growing it on the property. And I was raised in Tokyo, Japan in the 1970s at the height of manufacturing plants spewing out toxins. So I knew I was more toxic than she ever was. And that if I wanted to follow her path, I needed to do more to support my health and to get these toxins out of my body. And so I started learning about the brain and about the toxic load in our body and our brain and how that impacts our health. And soon after that, my oldest daughter got a concussion in her first grade 12 soccer game of the season. And because I wasn't working full time and because she didn't have the cognitive ability to go to the appointments and then come home and tell me what the practitioners had said to do, I went with her. And so I continued learning about the brain, now about concussion recovery, while also looking at the nutritional piece that I felt important. Mm-hmm. And 2 months after that, I was driving down to Vancouver and I got a phone call from the high school. Could I please go pick up my younger daughter because she has a suspected concussion from grade 8 gym class? And in that moment, I looked out my windshield across the ocean, kind of up towards the heavens and went, really? This is how you show me my path? Stop taking out my children.
Yeah, no kidding.
So now I had two very different concussions and was going to both of their appointments and continuing to learn. And some things came up right away. First of all, I realized the body doesn't heal in a stressed out state and that people need more support in their health journey. Because when you have more support, you can work with a practitioner that guides you then you get to relax into the process. And that allows you to get out of the stress state, and it allows your body to get into the healing state. And we all know that if we just try to do it on our own and we're going to Dr. Google for help, that can be very stress inducing, because anybody can diagnose themselves as imminently dying if they spend too long on Dr. Google. So we don't want to go there. And very soon after my second daughter got her concussion, because we live in a small town, people were hearing our story and asking me to help them because they had a son with a concussion, or an employee was coming back to work, et cetera, et cetera. And then I was asked to work at a holistic clinic that was opening, but I couldn't get insurance to work there because I didn't have a certification. So I wanted to work there though, because I saw the need for this work. And so I called a friend who was a life coach, because life coach had been bouncing around in the back of my head since I'd been let go, but it hadn't really landed. But I thought, I guess this is the direction I need to get that certification. So I call him and he goes, you don't need to be a life coach. You need to be a health coach. And I went, what? What's that? And that landed immediately. And I started looking into health coaching schools, and I literally started within 10 days. And from the moment I got there, I knew that I had found my passion, my purpose, and that this was a way that I could be more of service to humanity. And I started realizing I'm in my 40s and I don't know this about my own body. Why not? And then I went, because you've been busy being a wife and being a mom and building your career, and this hasn't ever been on your radar before. So you've never learned it. And it's not taught through our school system. It's not taught through our public health system. So if you want to learn this, you have to seek it out. And so then I realized, well, how many other millions of people are out there that have been doing the exact same thing I've been doing that also don't know this, that if they did, they could make different choices in their health. And ultimately, we do get told that we're living longer, but we're not really living longer, because it comes down to health span versus lifespan. And the average North American right now is spending the last 10 years of their life in a nursing home. And that is not living. That is simply waiting to die. Mm-hmm. There's no quality of life at that point. However, what if you could make different choices today in your health so that you get to extend your health span, and you don't have to spend 10 years in a nursing home, just like my grandmother, who eventually passed when she was 101 and she died in her sleep at home.
Yeah, much better option for sure.
Exactly. And actually much more cost effective, because that nursing home right now costs $108,000 a year. And that's not even your medical costs. That's just your room and board, right? And your food. And then by 2030, it's expected to be $141,000 a year. So that's over 10 years, that adds up. Versus,
and it's your kids that are paying for it.
And it's your kids that are paying for it. Absolutely. And so
most people don't have the money to
financial responsibility. Yeah. And then I've worked with people who they can't afford to put their parents in a nursing home. So they have their parents in their own home. And then they become the number one caregiver, which is a lot of effort and work. It's exhausting. And then they can't do their day job to earn their income. They're having to quit their job to care for their parents. So either way, there's huge toll, financial toll, emotional toll on your children. Mm-hmm. But if you can make better choices now and invest in your health now so that you get to have that health span and have those 10 years back, what does that mean to you, right? Then that is how I want to help people. And we can put an end to chronic illness. Chronic illness is a dis-ease of the body. In other words, the body is at unease, right? Mm-hmm. And it is not a life sentence. We can rebalance the body and bring it back into balance, and it will then heal itself. And I love helping people through this process. I look at, okay, what's your toxic load in your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies? Because that matters. When we have symptoms in our physical body, it's already moved through the other three bodies, right? And then I also use functional medicine lab testing that's mailed to your home so that we can determine what are your inflammation levels, what are your heavy metal levels, what are your mineral levels, because they're very often depleted under high stress. We use them up, and then our nutrient deplete soil systems, we're not replenishing them with our food supply today. What are our vitamin levels? What's going on inside our gut? Our health starts in our gut. And if our gut is in a state of dysbiosis or imbalance, then we are not going to be able to optimize our health. But again, we can rebalance our gut. Candida overgrowth, bacterial overgrowth, mold, fungus, all of these imbalances are happening on an ongoing basis in today's world because of all of the use of antibiotics that you might not even be taking, but the animals that you're eating are being fed them.
And in the water supply,
They
because
get
a
in
lot
the
of
water
the drugs
supply.
don't get
Exactly. There's so
filtered
many
out.
triggers of imbalance in our gut, including poor sleep, high stress. Even energy drinks are putting a toll on our body, right? Our liver has to process all of this. So it's almost like it's one more toxin. So this is how I work with people is I look for the root cause. We remove the toxicities and then we rebalance what was deficient. And then at that point, the body has the ability to heal itself. It's just not healing itself where most people are at is because most people are in a depleted state and the body can't do everything. So it's just trying to keep you going because you're trying to keep going, but that it can't keep you going and heal and rebalance, et cetera, right? Until
Not without
we give
support.
it, exactly, until we give it more support. So I absolutely love this work. We start the healing in the physical body, and then we go on and address the emotional body. What emotions have been stuffed down because of, you were taught, boys don't cry, be a big girl, don't cry, don't bring your emotions to work, et cetera, and it all gets stuffed down. And over the course of your life, that too becomes toxic inside your body because your cells store all of that. Well, we can release it working with our unconscious mind because the unconscious mind stores it all. So let's release it. But we have to access the unconscious mind to do that. And then we look at the mental toxicities. We all have them. Just think about how you talk to yourself. Do you talk yourself into success? Or do you talk yourself out of it? You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. How do you know you can do that? Da, 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 da. And just stop and think for a minute the way you talk to yourself. If you talked to other human beings that way, would you have any friends?
Right?
Probably not, right? So we can release all of the mental toxicity too. I love to share with my clients that we need to listen less and talk more when it comes to the thoughts inside our head. Stop listening to them because most of them are just BS anyway. And talk back and say, no, that's not true. I'm not buying into that. Or just say, cancel, cancel, cancel. I don't even want that thought. Go away.
Yeah, you don't have to react to every thought that passes through your head. And if you don't react to it, it's not going to start that chemical process that's going to start damaging your body immediately.
Exactly. Because our body is literally a robot of our mind. I'm really glad you brought that up, right? Mm-hmm. Our body responds to everything in our mind. If we envision that happy future, we will make it happen.
And there is so much science behind that.
Yes.
It's astounding how if you put yourself in a future state and stay there for a while, you will find yourself in that future state because your brain just wants that.
Exactly. Your conscious mind is your goal setter, and then your unconscious mind is your goal getter. So you have to tell your unconscious mind what it is that you want so it can go get it. So you have to envision it. So many people that I work with, though, they come to me telling me what they don't want. So what do they get more of?
What they don't want.
Because that's what they're thinking about unconsciously, right? But when we focus on what we do want, and that's what we think about unconsciously and consciously, that's what we make happen. And when it comes to our health, this is so critical because first of all, you have to see yourself as healed, see your future, believe that you can heal. Because if you don't believe you can heal, you won't. It's as simple as that. And it comes back to one of my favorite quotes by Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right.
Absolutely.
And that applies to every aspect of your life. That is how powerful your thinking mind is. And so we have to make sure it's not full of toxins. So we detox it. And then we work on spiritual detoxing as well, which I actually don't do myself. I partner with a reverend and I leave that to her expertise. And I include all of this in my Start Now, Live Well program. and we heal and detox all four bodies. And as I said, I just partner with a reverend to assist with the spiritual detox once we've completed all of the other detoxing. So this is what I do now. I absolutely love it. It is my mission to put an end to chronic illness and to just empower people in their health and have them realize there is another way. We do not have to wait to get sick, go to the doctor, and expect them to make us better. That system doesn't work. That is a sick care system, because invariably what happens
It's expensive.
It's expensive. And it will also invariably what happens, at least for the clients that end up coming to me, is they get told there's nothing wrong with you, or it's all in your head, or come back when you get sicker.
Yeah.
They come to me.
Or they give you a label and then you buy into the label.
That too, which comes back to our mental toxicity. What label are you having run around in your head all the time, right? And so when I work with clients, they're invariably coming to me having been told there's nothing wrong with them. And we run labs and we discover the imbalances. And they're like, I'm not crazy. I'm like, no, you're not. Your hormones are out of whack, or your gut's out of whack. You've got candida and overgrowth. You've got mold. That's why you have no energy and you feel like crap.
Then there's this thing about the tests that doctors do. When they read those tests, the results are based on averages. So you're getting the average of a lot of sick people.
Yes.
So your liver enzymes, for example, might be within the normal range, but it's a normal range for sick people who have
Yes.
liver problems, because, that's most of the population. But most people don't realize that. And the doctor said, oh, you're fine. Well,
you're fine for a sick person.
Yeah, you're fine for a sick person. We can
Yes.
help you because
Yes.
we only keep people sick.
Well, even the labs that I run, which are functional medicine labs, and we're looking for health, and I don't diagnose any disease, I am literally helping people discover the imbalances, right? Only doctors can
Right.
diagnose and only doctors can cure. I don't do either. I look for the imbalances and I guide you on your healing journey. I am the guide. You do the work. Your body heals when you do the work, right? So we might have to change the way you eat. And guess what? It might be hard in the beginning, but I make it easy. I give you recipes. I hold your hand. I support you. And then you start feeling better, and you taste the recipes and you're like, these are really good. And you just start doing that naturally because you're motivated to keep going because you're feeling good.
Yeah.
And so initially there might be a little bit of, it feels hard, but it doesn't last very long, because as soon as you start feeling better, it's worth it. And then you keep going on this path. And so in the labs that I run, we also have ranges, right?
Mhm.
And as an integrative health practitioner, even those labs, sometimes we reduce the ranges even more because we want optimal health for you. We don't want just good health. We want to get you to optimal health. And so those are the ranges that we work with and that I guide people to. So it all ties in with the science of epigenetics. And this is what I truly want people to know, because it shows you how empowered you can be in your health. And for many people, we've been raised to believe that, well, our genes dictate our health outcomes. And, my dad had high blood pressure or heart disease, and my mom had diabetes. And so I got crappy genes. And the reality is that is all BS as well. Your health outcomes are dictated to the extent of only 5 to 10% of your genes. The other 90 to 95% that impacts your health outcomes is what you choose to put in your body, the lifestyle you choose to live, how stressed you are, how much sleep you're getting, etc., how much exercise you're getting, etc., etc., etc. So you have control in 90 to 95% of the cases. And when you understand how easy it is to start taking these small actions that change your habits to live a healthier lifestyle, that your inflammation levels come down. So your aches and pains go away, for starters. So that's a win. And secondly, when your inflammation levels come down, you're reducing your risk of the switches to your genes being turned on. They're literally like a light switch. They can be turned on or they can be turned off. It's your choice. You just have to know this and then be able to be guided through this for yourself, because we can't all be experts in everything, right?
Right. And
so find an expert that can help guide you through making sure your genetic switches stay turned off.
In the long run, it's almost always cheaper to look for somebody who's an expert in the field rather than trying to do it yourself. You end up paying so much more because, you make mistakes. You have to pay for this and you have to pay for that. And when you screw it all up and you end up in the doctor's office because you haven't fixed the problem, that's going to cost you an arm and a leg, sometimes literally. So who
Hopefully
are
not.
your, I'm sorry.
Hopefully not, but I know
Hopefully
that does
not,
happen.
but it does happen.
It does happen.
So who are your ideal customers?
My ideal customer is that person who is listening to their instinct and they know that there is actually something out of balance in their body. And their doctor might have told them there's nothing wrong with them, but they know they need to keep looking. And they're motivated to make the changes that need to be made in order to regain their health because they don't like how they feel. Very often they are people struggling with gut health issues or women going through menopause, because that's the other thing, is every single woman goes through menopause and it doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be difficult. It shouldn't have all of these symptoms. We were not made to suffer. Our bodies are miraculous. We don't even fully understand how our bodies work. And yet we're taught as women, it's just menopause. There's going to be night sweats. There's going to be hot flashes. Sex is going to suck, blah, blah, blah. And we just think it's the passage of being a woman. And it's not true.
For like half of your life.
Yes, exactly. Because it does last for a long time, from perimenopause to menopause to, it can be anywhere, like perimenopause can be 8 to 10 years, but then the menopause phase, you can still have symptoms for 8 to 10 years afterwards if you're not addressing them. And symptoms
and
are
you can have the symptoms as postmenopausal.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
For
exactly.
all of those years, if you don't get a handle on what's going on with your body.
Exactly. And we don't have to accept it as it's just because I'm a woman.
Mm-hmm.
We can say, hey, my body's talking to me. What is it trying to tell me? Because that's what a symptom is your body asking you to do something differently. And really, what it comes down to is your hormones are just out of balance. And we can rebalance them, not with hormone replacement therapy and all of this man-made chemical stuff, but with natural herbs that allow your body to then be able to make those hormones themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so that you don't have to suffer, because we really aren't made to suffer. And that was my journey. I've had migraines in my younger years and I didn't have PMS per se. I had migraines, right? Our symptoms show up in each person in a different way. And I didn't connect the migraines with hormones until my doctor just kept trying to give me more and more drugs. I'm like, no, but they're different. They've changed. I don't want another drug. I want to know why I'm getting them so then I could do something about it and stop getting them. And they didn't have any answers. So then I sought out a naturopath who said, well, let's run a lab test to see what's going on with your hormones. I'm like, oh, yes, that's what I want. So I did a saliva lab test. Interestingly, the very same lab test I offer my clients today, and discovered my progesterone levels were very low. And so that's a common trigger of migraines. So what did I do? She gave me this vial tonic that I had to drink for 2 weeks of 2 cycles, just a teaspoon a day. And in the first cycle, it made a difference to how I felt. And the second cycle, no migraines for 7 years. And my hormones change a little bit, right? So then I went back and said, I need more of that disgusting stuff. Oh, we should run another lab test. And I'm like, no, let's just do this first. If it doesn't work, we'll run the lab test. It worked. I was good for years. And then I hit menopause. Migraines were different. So this time I did go back and go, can we run that lab again? Because it's different. And sure enough, my estrogen was low and my progesterone and my testosterone. Good to know, because now I know what to do about it. Rebalance it. I'm good to go. So I'm through menopause. Getting through menopause was easy, but that's because I had the knowledge on how to rebalance my body.
Mm-hmm.
I want women to know they can too. And they don't have to suffer. And even same for girls, young girls getting their period for the first time. PMS is, again, not a rite of passage. PMS is a symptom that your hormones are out of balance, and we can rebalance them so you don't have to suffer with PMS every single month.
Yeah, and then there's the added extra hormones we like to give young girls.
Yes, that are not, especially when we're giving them for skin health.
Yeah.
Not skin health is very often dictated. Yes, there's a little bit of hormonal factor there, but also gut health. What's going on in their gut? And unfortunately, because our world is getting more and more toxic, our kids are getting more and more toxic at younger and younger ages.
Yeah, the whole Mountain Dew phase. It's like, just put the soda aside.
The sugar. What's all of that sugar doing to your gut,
Yeah.
to your skin, et cetera, et cetera? So yes, there's many factors that we can look at. And these lab tests that I run, with the hormone one, I run once boys and girls hit puberty. All the rest of them, we can run when kids are like 2 years old, that young. Because you know what? Children have heavy metal toxicity because it's come through the placenta because mom had heavy metal toxicity when she was pregnant. Or they're minerally deficient because mom was minerally deficient when she was pregnant. And guess what? All the ADD, all the ADHD diagnosis that we have today, let's look at their mineral levels and their metal toxicity levels. It is a simple hair clipping. You clip some hair at the nape of their neck. We get those results. We rebalance their minerals. We remove the metal toxicities. Guess what? In many cases, that diagnosis goes away.
And stop adding them back in.
Yeah, and stop adding them back in. And then the other one that's really impactful there is omega-3s. Kids are deficient in omega-3s because omega-6s are in everything. And omega-3s, the best source is wild fatty fish. Well, a lot of kids don't want to eat wild fatty fish. So they're getting all these omega-6s, not enough omega-3s. So it's showing up as deficient. Omega-3s are very good for so many aspects of our health, including brain health, skin health, nail, hair, teeth, cell health, et cetera, heart health, eye health. And that has been shown to be equally as effective as Ritalin in an assessment where the children were studied for 12 months by their parents, their teachers, and the study group. And it was just as effective with zero
That's
side
really
effects.
remarkable.
Zero side effects, right? So what are we're putting all these chemicals into our kids, and that's toxic for them, and it's harming their liver, et cetera, and
Shortening their lives.
It is, because they have all these side effects, and after a while, they don't know how to feel good because they're so used to not feeling good, and they think that's what it is.
Yeah, they think that's normal.
Yeah.
And it's so sad.
Yes.
So how do people get a hold of you if they're interested in fixing their lives up?
YourGuidedHealthJourney.com is my website. And at the top of that, there's a contact button and there's a book now button. If you want to contact me and have an email chat, we can do that. If you'd like to book in for a complimentary consult, just to get to know me, for me to understand what's going on with you and see if I'm the right practitioner to guide you, you can go ahead and just book straight into my calendar. And if I'm not the right practitioner to guide you, I have a large circle of other practitioners that I work with that I refer people to, because of course we all have our lane and we don't all know everything. And so I love to have this resource group of other practitioners that I can refer people to save you having to go to Google.
Yeah. This has been really informative, Melissa. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for this conversation and just for helping get this message out to the world so that other people can begin to understand that they can choose to be empowered in their health and take their health into their own hands and buy back those years from now all the way to the end of their life. And what you do now, it does matter 10, 20, 30 years from now.
And today is always the best day to make the change.
It is. And the wonderful thing about the human body is that it's never too late to get started.
Exactly. Thanks again.
Thank you for tuning in to the You World Order Showcase program. We hope today's episode has inspired you to consider how you can leverage your unique skills and talents to be the change you want to see in the world. If you're ready to take the next step and turn your passion into a 5-figure part-time business, we invite you to schedule a private consult at heartlifecoach.com. During our Passion to Profit breakthrough session, we'll work together to identify your strengths, clarify your vision, and develop a tailored plan for achieving your goals. Don't settle for mediocrity or let fear hold you back from pursuing your dreams. With the right guidance and support, you can build a thriving business that brings you joy, financial freedom, and the opportunity to make a positive impact in the world. Head over to heartlifecoach.com today to schedule your Passion to Profit breakthrough session and take the first step towards creating the life you've always wanted. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the You World Order Showcase program.